The impudence, the audacity, the unmitigated gall of those Knuckleheads of Liberty podcasters, daring to voice opinions outside the mainstream of accepted thought. Listen if you dare. It's angry, it's funny, it's even sometimes sad, but it's always based on freedom and justice, as you will see. Here's our host, Jason McPhee.
Welcome to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. We are coming to you on March 16, 2022. Obviously, I am not Jason McPhee. Jason McPhee, our champion of choice, is there up in our upper right-hand corner. Tim Everett, our screaming eagle of freedom, is up in our upper left-hand corner. I am Leon Brathwaite, the last word in liberty. That's what they call me. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I speak too much. Who knows? You never know. Anyway, today we want to talk about a whole bunch of stuff, and I hope we have enough time to get through it. Our very first topic is about war again, but this time it's the war on truth and science. And the media and the media's role in the dissemination of misinformation and disinformation, and sometimes outright falsehoods. If we look over the last few years, we have seen several hoaxes in the news, starting off with the Jussie Smallett case. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, but Jussie Smallett was a guy who claimed that there was a hate crime, a racist and homophobic hate crime against him in Chicago. Well, he was just prosecuted for that little staging. He's now in jail. We also had the Russia-Trump hoax. Where's the evidence? We have no evidence of that to date. We now have the Green New Deal hoax, where they're trying to tell us that we are about to become extinct in 12 years unless we spend all this massive amount of money to take us to this socialist utopia.
On a fast train.
On a fast train, exactly. That's the train that we are trying to construct from Los Angeles. Yes, Jason, you're absolutely right. We also have the hoax of the Biden and the left trying to tell us his policies are not causing the energy crisis. And that is going on in the media right now. We are hearing now about the Putin price spike. We also have the January 6th hoax, where they tell us, well, it was an insurrection. It was a coup. And all of those protests and riots we had, those were mostly peaceful protests, if you remember that one. We have now the most interesting hoax of all. It's the Covet hoax. Now, that is not to say we did not have COVID. Yes, there was a COVID pandemic. Of course, I was infected by the COVID. Tim was infected by the COVID. So far, I think Jason has escaped it. And I wonder why he has escaped it. But
I'm not sure I did. It's the testing is so
You're not sure you did. Okay. Okay. But the point of all of these things is that the media is out there pushing these stories. They're always pushing these stories. And they're now even pushing stories that challenge science. And science must withstand scrutiny if it is become knowledge. So what do you guys think about this thing? What is going on in our world where these hoaxes are becoming so much a part of our daily life? We have two of them ongoing right now. So what do you guys think about all of this? Jason?
Well, one of the biggest hoaxes, I think, that's not even on this list is, my God, you look at what's happening right now in women's sports. And I mean, the fact that everybody just cowardly sits there and watches essentially a dude come out and beat the hell out of a bunch of women for whatever the match is. And everybody says how brave. And I can't imagine a more dishonest narrative. And I mean, you talk about these women with the swim team that are happening there, and that's at Penn State or something, or University of Pennsylvania, and I think her name is Leah Thompson or something like that. But
Leah Thomas. Yes, you're
Leah
correct.
Thomas. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, and the whole team is terrified that nobody can stand out alone to speak against her coming in there and essentially stealing all their opportunities. So they have to come out as a group so that they can keep some anonymity for themselves, speaking as a group anonymously to say this is not right. I can't imagine anything more, more of a war on science than that. And I mean, I as a libertarian, I have no problem if a voluntary group of people want to get together and set up a structure where that's allowed. But right now, it's sort of being shoehorned on everybody through government schools, and I think that's just terrible. So. But anyway, go ahead, Screaming Eagle. Tell us what you think.
Well, yeah, I think I did. We had this as a topic, but
no, not the hoax, not the hoax. We had a topic. We did talk about Leah Thomas. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. Okay. I guess we've got a lot of hoaxes going on, and I mean, we could take each one apart. I don't know. I'm kind of confused, Leon. Are we talking about?
Take one if you want. Jason just raised a hoax that I didn't even consider. I forgot about, which was the Leah Thomas case about transgenderism. Actually, is easy. If you want anything on the list, if you want to talk about it, it's fine.
Well, here's something. I just heard this from Tom Wood's show. I can't remember if it's him or someone else talking, but part of this whole thing with this Russia-Trump thing is that Trump, instead of just taking the fifth, which would have been better, but he can't keep his mouth shut to save his life. But instead of not saying anything or to rebut these ridiculous claims of his collusion with Putin, instead of that, what he did was he tried to go too far the other way to prove that he hated Putin and he wasn't a shill. And so he did a number of things. And when I heard them all listed, I guess it was Scott Horton talking. And so when Scott was going through this long laundry list of the things Trump did to make matters worse with Russia, in addition to all this NATO expansion, but all these other things that he did, including having troop movements right up within yards of the border with Russia under Trump's watch. These were things he did in response to all this nonsense that the State Department, it's so convoluted, but they were trying to hem him in or rein him in. And that's exactly what they were doing. And they didn't care. All they wanted was the investigation. They didn't want a conviction or anything else. They just wanted him. And it worked. He was putty in their hands, and he hired all these warmongers and did warmongering stuff against Russia to try to prove, I'm really not in Putin's pocket. I'm really a good guy. I'm Donald Trump, and I'm going to fight Putin, And so it's just in addition to all the other things, it got us to this moment in time where we are facing all these things going on to upset the state of Europe between Russia and Ukraine. And so, when it's not just that, these things aren't true, they're not true and they have serious repercussions, potentially.
But Tim, don't you think the danger is the disinformation and the outright falsehoods that the media articulate and try to make it sound so real? Isn't that the danger? Is that the danger to us?
Yes, it is. I'm not saying it's not. I'm saying in addition to those very real concerns and dangers you speak of being lied to by the people that are supposed to be bringing you something close to the truth, but out and out lies on purpose. Aside from that, the lies can, depending on the situation, have potentially lethal and dangerous repercussions on down the road of history.
Yes.
because they put a person like Donald Trump with, really zero principles, in my opinion, other than what's good for me. If it's good for me, okay. Or can I say you're fired? Do I get a chance to say you're fired? I'd love to say you're fired. I'm Donald Trump, and guess what? You're fired. If you do that to those kind of people, you have, and you're setting it up on a world stage, because you're saying he's in the pocket of a world leader that we don't like.
I think Tim just got frozen up. Tim just got frozen up. But let me do an exit question here, Jason, though. Can we as a country remain free if the truth is constantly being poisoned by politics?
Well, that's the danger, right? And I think it's a product of our echo chambers at the moment. We are able to get in with people who agree with us, and it makes it really hard to get outside of those echo chambers and go back and forth. And quite frankly, I think one side at the moment is much more guilty of this than the other side. I don't see a lot of riots against speakers from the left on college campuses. I see a lot. I see the riots from the left against speakers, that they don't agree with. And, it's like the nonsense we just saw on The View. And, where these women all thought that Tulsi and Tucker, as we talked about in our last show, should be thrown in jail because they don't agree with them on their patriotic ideas of sending us all to war in the Ukraine. Yeah. So, obviously it's an assault on our liberty and, our freedoms going forward.
Indeed. Well, Tim is not here. I was going to go with Good Guys with Guns. In the meantime, let's go on to the next topic. And when Tim joins us, we jump off and get into Good Guys with Guns. Anyway, the next thing was on the thing was Libertarian Corner, which is a projection of the U.S. military might. Is that a net benefit or is it a net harm? Will the U.S. dominance? Oh, there's Tim. Tim, are you back with us? Tim, are you back with us?
Why don't you just keep going, and once he's in, then we can sort of shift, because otherwise we're burning dead air. Here he comes.
Indeed. Tim, you look like you're here now. Are you here? No. Okay.
Yeah.
So in Libertarian Corner, we want to talk about the projection of the military might of the United States. Should the U.S. dominance, should it continue? Should NATO or the U.S. or the U.S. help Ukraine? So what do you think about this, Jason?
Well, I think this is the danger is what we're seeing. I hear so many people who talk about the special role the United States should play as a policeman in the world. And, honestly, right now we're seeing essentially sort of a Mr. Magoo lunatic running around out there with his, quite frankly, other cartoonish character and as vice president as well, who can't seem to get a coherent message out. And these are the people who are literally, we put the guns in their hands to go point at other people around the world. And I can't imagine anything more irresponsible. I think this is where, we and not only that too, think about this, the cost this has generated as well. We talk about we're doing this to preserve liberty. Well, think about where we're at this point. We literally are over 30 trillion in the hole, not counting Social Security and these other things. And, not all of that is from playing policeman of the world, but, some of it is. And the idea that we are getting ourselves into, all of these messes when the most surest thing we can do to preserve our liberty is to preserve our economy as we go forward, to make sure that we're not out on a limb and that everything could come crashing down in a heap. And so I think maybe this is part of the problem. We're running around, we're creating all these distortions, and maybe we shouldn't be taking such a big role in all of these places. I know this is one that's near and dear to you, Tim. You want to jump in on that?
Yes.
Yeah, now that I'm back, I had to re-agree to the terms and conditions of the Wi-Fi in the hotel here.
Okay.
And I tried to do it before the show started, but it wouldn't let me. So it just kicked me off. I just totally lost internet completely. So anyway, so what's the question? Should we?
We
go
are
into
talking
Ukraine?
about the projection of the military might of the United States, its dominance throughout the world. Is it net harm, net benefit? Should it continue? Should NATO help Ukraine? What do you think?
Well, I think that within the confines of the Constitution, if anybody would want to care to follow it, we have enough defensive capability to defend our both the nation and our national interests, including the free shipping and protect shipping lanes and that kind of thing. We have plenty of aircraft carriers and submarines to do that. We have I think we have good enough deterrence. Although nowadays, with all the pressure, Russia's come up with some pretty quick launch vehicles and stuff. So maybe that's changing. But do we have enough military might to go around policing the world? No. Guess what? Nobody does, and nobody ever will in a bazillion years. Okay, I'm gonna make that prediction right now, because what that does is when you try to police the world and get your nose in everybody's affairs, like for example, if Russia invades a sovereign nation like Ukraine, and you want to get in there and get messy along with everybody else and try to break up that fight, guess who gets hurt? We do. And is that constitutional? No, it's not. And it's for good reason. And so do we have the military might to go around and conquer the world and tell everybody else what to do? I know that's what the plan was for quite a while. No, we don't. And anybody that tries, China, Russia, as though they could, they got a teensy weensy little tiny economy. No, they definitely can't. Can China? Not even China. Not even China with 10 times the economy they have now. They will plunder it all in a couple of years at best, and they will go down in flames like everybody else that's ever tried it. Every empire ever in the history of mankind that's ever tried to conquer the world ends up dying. It's self-induced suicide to a nation to try to do that. Why? Because it sucks up the economy. That's why.
But do you believe all military engagements, Tim, outside the United States? I mean, are we only for defensive purposes, or can we have military engagements outside the United States?
Well, you mean legally?
Legally.
Yeah, I think we can. I think in certain situations, I mean, even from the very beginning when we went up against the Barbary pirates, that was outside the United States, and we had every right to do that because they were messing with the shipping. And if we do have a responsibility as an extremely strong nation militarily to go out and to police certain things that are going against free trade, for example, and sometimes we have to oppose certain despots doing certain things. That's got to be, and it's, you take everything and look at it individually and decide. And you look at it not just, is it good in our interest, but is it good economically, and is it good constitutionally? Well, actually, that'd be the first thing. Can we do this constitutionally?
Yes, that'd be the first thing, yes.
Yeah, then is it good for our self-interest? And then can we afford it? The last thing. Yes. Can we afford it? And increasingly, we cannot. We're 30 trillion in debt. I heard Jason say that. So let's remind everybody that we just can't go do this anymore.
Got you. Okay, Tim. Let's go to good guys with guns.
We got time.
We had planned to do that second, but we had a problem. So let's go.
Thanks for taking care of that. All right. So this is this month, March 6, 2022, in Fontana, California. So police are investigating a Saturday night fatal shooting in Fontana after a homeowner says, this is a little sketchy, he had to defend himself during an attempted burglary. The homeowner, whose name has not been released by authorities, called their Fontana Police Department at 10:47 p.m. on Saturday. He told police multiple people, sorry about the cough, were attempting to break into his house at the corner of Cypress Avenue and Baseline, that he believed at least one of them was inside, that he believed they were armed. The homeowner then armed himself with a handgun before the call with Fontana PD disconnected. When police arrived at the scene, the homeowner came out of the house and surrendered himself, saying he had shot someone inside the home. When police went inside, they found a man dead in the hallway. The dead man was wearing gloves and a COVID-19 mask. Imagine that. And looked to be between 20 and 30 years old, according to the police. The dead man also had a semi-automatic handgun next to his hand, and according to police, the press has learned the whole semi-automatic rule here. I'm happy to hear that. There were signs of a shootout in the home. Brass casings from 2 different weapons were found. The other individuals, the homeowner said, tried to break in. Guess what they did? Ran away. Police are searching for those individuals that got out of Dodge. Neighbors in the Fontana community are on high alert after the incident occurred. If they came here, what exactly would have happened, said Michelle Luna, a neighbor. Police are conducting a thorough investigation, but believe the man found dead inside the home was attempting to burglarize the home, and the homeowner defended himself against an armed subject. If the investigation finds that to be the case, the homeowner will not face charges. The homeowner was not injured in the incident.
Indeed.
There you have it.
Indeed. Jason, why don't you tell us why do we do good guys with guns? Why do we do it?
Well, we do it to try and let people know that there's a lot of good stories out there of people actually defending themselves with guns, and we just want to make sure that people are getting sort of a balanced take on this. If everybody else is telling the bad story of somebody with a gun, we want to make sure that people are at least hearing or have the opportunity to hear about stories where somebody actually uses that tool for a good purpose as well.
Very good. Very good. Let us just get a quick comment on the next topic, which is Uber and Lyft drivers are feeling the pain at the pump, and their customers will feel this pain in their pocketbooks. The rising prices that we are seeing in energy, whether it's gasoline in particular in this case, are having far-reaching consequences. What do you guys think about this? What about Uber and Lyft when they're drivers?
Well, economics 1A. I mean, they have to pass that cost on to the consumer, especially when they're in their unique situation. So I mean, it's like, gee, I'm going to make less money now. I'm going to take a cut and pay, even though prices everywhere are going up. No, that's not how it works. So if an employee is just like any other business expense, your business expense goes up, you got to get compensated for it. Either, in this situation, they're set up to have to get it from the person that's receiving it. I mean, they're getting the benefit, they have to pay it, and it's getting higher, and it's going to get higher. So that cost is going to go up. Welcome to the new deal here, folks.
Yes.
The
Green New Deal. This is the Green New Deal.
Yeah, there you go. Your Green New Deal. I'm sorry that it costs an arm and a leg, but that's what you wanted. You got what you wanted. Have fun.
Indeed.
Well, perhaps these Uber and Lyft drivers, may need to start arming themselves in order to protect the gas in their tank.
We may take that as a joke, Jason, but that might be real. That might be
that's true. If you park your car outside your house, like everybody in San Diego except for me does, I'm the only one that parks in a garage, the only person in the entire city of San Diego. That's an exaggeration, but it's not too far off, honestly. Everybody parks outside. Everybody. Guess what?
So you might be the only one who got your gasoline not stolen, right? Right.
Not stolen. Yeah, you're
Yes.
you're about to have a run on siphoning devices here.
Yes.
So they're not just stealing your catalytic converter now. You're also out of gas when you come out
You're
there.
out of gas. That's right.
Okay, guys. Jason, let's run to Knuckleheads Noise Patrol.
Okay, well, this time the Knuckleheads Noise Patrol takes us to Bill Maher, and I think this is so. Let's see.
Bill Maher takes another hit at the progressive left.
Yeah. So it says essentially this is a sort of point of wisdom, I guess, that Bill Maher is bringing out. He says, okay, but if Putin thought Trump was really supportive of him, because we've been hearing Russia for 5-6 years, and I'm sure that Bill Maher was probably guilty of some of that too, to be honest, early on, because he pretty much attacked him for everything as well. But that said, Bill Maher kind of, at least the light bulb came on at some point for him, because he said, why didn't he invade when Trump was in office? It's at least worth asking the question if you're not locked into one intransigent thought. So essentially trying to chastise the left for, they just get on this one crazy track and they can't get off of it, and they want to silence everybody who doesn't. Saying, well, look, he's invaded and Trump's not in office, so it's kind of hard to blame Trump now.
It goes back to the people of the view, that when you have somebody you disagree with, you have to try to silence them. Now the left is probably having a meltdown because Bill Maher, who is a man of the left, is now asking these. I mean, this is not the first time he's done this. He's now asking these pertinent questions. Okay, if Trump was a Russian asset, which everybody was claiming on left-wing media, if he was a Russian asset, well, hey, Putin should have invaded at that time. That would have been the opportune time for him to do it, but he did not. He waited until the half-senile president that we do have now, and then he invaded. And that half-senile president actually gave him the green light by talking about minor incursions. Tim, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so. And not to mention his weakness militarily, and just his guy's brain dead. Totally brain dead, but the flubbing up of the Afghanistan withdrawal and the other areas you mentioned where he's shown this weakness and the mental weakness mainly. The guy's just a complete moron, and I don't know who's really running the show. I mean, it's always somebody else, somebody behind the scenes. But in his case, it's so blatant that you could, like an Obama gives at least a pretense that he's the president, not being pushed around by other people behind him. Yes. Because, he's smart and he's engaging and everybody likes him and he's likable. And then, but you get a Biden, I mean, there's no more this silly pretense that this guy's actually doing presidential things, that he's really in charge, because the guy's a moron, and just an absolute moron. And so, is of course, if the same people are behind each and every president, then a Putin wouldn't, it wouldn't be a green light whether you had a monkey in the office like Biden or whether you had a charismatic leader like Obama. It wouldn't matter in that case, because you always are really up against the same people, which you probably really are. So why he did it, I just talked myself out of an argument right there. See how I did that?
Well, Tim, I know you have talked yourself out of an argument, but we have talked ourselves out of the time on this show. Yeah. So, but Jason, did you want to say something quickly?
Well, it's just since we went long, there was just one little thing I wanted to add real quick, and that's that Bill Maher was recently on Ben Shapiro's show, his Sunday show, and I just wanted to kind of give Bill Maher a little bit of kudos for that as well, because Bill Maher is said on his show, why don't people from the left, why are they too scared to go on people from the right shows when a lot of them will show up on Bill Maher's show? And I thought Bill was kind of a hypocrite because he wouldn't do that for quite a while. And he actually went on Shapiro's show this last Sunday
Right.
So you can find that online. But it's a good talk. It's an honest talk between two guys. I thought Shapiro kind of didn't quite hit back as hard as he should have on a few topics. Maybe some of that I know is when you're playing the host on a show, you can lose track of a few things, and
exactly.
And maybe that was happening to him. But it was a nice, honest discussion, and hopefully that there will be more of those in the future. Maybe Bill Maher setting a tone that hopefully the left can follow.
Well, maybe this will be the start of the backlash against this cancel culture nonsense that is going on in our society.
Yeah.
But our time is over, guys. Thank you guys for participating in the show, and see you next time. In the meantime, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness shall always prevail. Thank you. Goodbye. Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, always and forever.
Thank you for listening to the Knuckleheads of Liberty podcast. Find us on Facebook, Rumble, YouTube, your favorite podcast network, and at knuckleheadsofliberty.com.